This is PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Manarino.
All right, everybody, welcome to Pop Daily. I'm Dan Manarino. PIX on Politics Daily, as we like to call it around here. And what a day, in really 48 hours it has been, with the charges being dropped officially with prejudice, meaning they cannot come back for Mayor Eric Adams, him touting that as a big win at a press conference that he held outside of Gracie Mansion yesterday. And then less than 24 hours after that, he releases a video saying that he is running as an independent, not as a Democrat, even though he has repeatedly been on this show and other places saying, I am running as a Democrat. He says he's running as a Democrat, but now as an independent, meaning he's running as an independent. And that gives him the runway to go right to the general election in November, face off against a potential Democratic challenger, which is looking like it might be Andrew Cuomo, who knows, and then Curtis Sliwa, who's the only Republican, and then another independent, who is Jim Walden right now. So there's a lot to talk about. And today was supposed to be the day he would hand in the signatures to run as a Democrat. Signatures, by the way, which he says he had, 25,000 signatures. Our Henry Rosoff is actually at the Board of Elections right now, where candidates are handing in those petitions. So, Henry, okay, you miss a minute, you miss a lot. So here we are. Fill me in.
Well, yeah, we're here outside the Board of Elections at this very moment, and we've seen Scott Stringer, we've seen volunteers for Zohran Mamdani, we've seen Whitney Tilson, the businessmen running in this campaign, all dropping off their signatures. A number of other candidates, including Brad Lander, Jessica Ramos, and others, dropped off their petitions a little bit earlier in the week. So everyone down here, everyone making the deadline to be on the Democratic ballot, except the Democratic mayor of New York City. So there's been rumblings of this for some time. In fact, we saw earlier this week that he really sharpened his attack against Andrew Cuomo, ticking off sort of what he perceives as a hit list against the former governor, name-checking nursing homes and sexual harassment claims and managing of the pandemic and vaccine distribution, is sort of refining his attack, that it now seems aimed at the general election, somewhat with perhaps the hopes that it's him versus Cuomo versus Republican Curtis Sliwa, and then the other independent Jim Walden.
So we had Randy Master on, the first deputy mayor, on this morning. I was asking him about this and really the timeline of it all, Henry, right? That the charges are dropped. He holds up a book that was written by Kash Patel, which is the FBI director under current President Donald Trump. And then the next morning, he announces he's running as an independent. Adrian Adams comes out with a statement saying, well, it looks like he is aligning himself with the Republican Party. What do you kind of make of the timeline of it all? What are the other candidates saying?
Well, actually, I was speaking with Whitney Tilson, one of the other candidates I just mentioned. He did a fair bit of punditry that I think has some validity to it. He believes that Mayor Adams is hoping that one of the more left-leaning candidates, one of those who was sort of aligned with the Working Families Party, an endorsement rollout event that we saw over the weekend, that could be the likes of Brad Lander or Zohran Mamdani, who's running second in the Democratic polls, and then it would be him, one of those left-leaning candidates, Curtis Sliwa from the Republicans, the independent Jim Walden, and he would look kind of like this moderate Democrat in the field, similar to how he won the Democratic primary 4 years ago. So I thought that speculation by Mr. Tilson was actually quite valid, but you see in rhetoric, and I've already mentioned, that the mayor does appear to be gearing up for this run against former Governor Cuomo, at least in his rhetoric and his attacks.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's looking like, right? I mean, you were at the once a week daily press conference, the once a week press conference the mayor has. It's not daily, I should say, once a week on Tuesdays. And you were there, and you actually saw him really for the first time go on the offense against Andrew Cuomo, right? Tell me about that moment.
Yeah, it was quite a striking moment. And since we're on a social media platform here, it was a GIF comes to mind of Will Ferrell from a movie, I believe it was about politics and elections, and it's Welcome to the Bleeping Show. That's kind of what the moment felt like a little bit, where the mayor was like, oh, you're in this race, you're running, you're pulling out the flamethrower and going after the leader in this race, which is something we've seen from, literally all the other candidates for the last 3 weeks since former Governor Cuomo entered the race.
Yeah, it was interesting when you watch the video, right? I don't know if you saw all 6 minutes of it. Did you see all 6 minutes?
Yes, I have watched it through.
So after he talks about why he's running as an independent, right? He almost, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, for the first time admits fault. He says, like, while this was a bogus case, I did make mistakes in who I surrounded myself with. He doesn't say who. And then he says, I regret that. So any inclination, I guess, of maybe admitting fault, and I asked the first deputy mayor about this today, who were those people? He didn't say. But, did he learn from it moving forward? Any inclination of who these people were that he may have surrounded himself with that he regrets?
I mean, no, but we know the list, right? This former
Yeah.
Commissioner Caban, who's under investigation. It's former Deputy Mayor of Public Safety Banks, who's under investigation. It's former schools Chancellor Banks, who's under investigation, and the list goes on and on and on. So,
Ingrid
it's not
Lewis-Martin.
complicated. Yeah, not complicated to figure this out.
Yeah. So now talk to me about what moves forward now, because there was a lot of questions that I was getting this morning from people was, does Eric Adams' name still appear on the Democratic ballot, or is he off the ballot completely now and just moves right to the general?
He's off the ballot completely because, simply put, he did not file the signatures. And
Right.
Since you watched the video, and many people out there may know, he claims he had the signatures. We've really seen no signs or rumblings that he was out there collecting, but he does claim that in theory he could have dropped signatures today and made the ballot, but is so far behind in campaigning because of his case that he realistically would not have had a good shot. So he's just focusing on the independent. But Democrats, and that is most of this town, will not see him on the ballot.
Yeah, and he doesn't. Well, frankly, he didn't have the money. So, and in full disclosure to our audience, he was supposed to come on the morning show this morning and PIX Up Morning News, and did not. He was set up. There was confusion as to who set the interview up, and he was supposed to come on via the campaign at 9:30 in the morning, and then was a no-show. Where I was going to ask him if you had the signatures, why not hand them in? So hopefully we get to ask him that in the future. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is the question. Apologies. We're down here by Wall Street, quite popular, quite busy. So, New Yorkers don't like to wait, as you can hear in the background. I mean, what's interesting that's coming up this evening, as we talk on Thursday morning, is he's going to appear on stage in a mayoral forum we're hearing for the first time over at the National Action Network's convention. It's also the first time we'll see former Governor Cuomo on a stage, on a forum, confronting his opponents. It'll be primarily Democrats, but now we'll have, Cuomo, who hasn't done one of these, taking questions, taking fire from candidates. You'll have the mayor, who just announced an independent run, taking questions, taking fire from other candidates. So, the campaign very much so, kicking into high gear with this announcement. But the Democratic primary, what we're looking forward to next, I would argue, is the next round of polling that excludes Mayor Adams. And we'll see what that looks like.
Right, and it was interesting. I spoke to Emily Gallagher, a state assemblywoman, earlier, and she was like, look, we're doing the whole dream scenario. Don't rank Eric or Andrew for mayor. And I was like, well, what do you call it now? Because Eric Adams isn't part of it.
Oh, I got the answer to that. One of the campaigners on background told me, and I'm quoting in confidence here, said, don't rank evil Andrew for mayor. So full pivot to, yes, that's what I'm hearing on the trail anyway.
Okay. All right. So that is the story. Henry, I know. So what are you working on for tonight's show?
Dan, come again. I'm sorry. New York traffic got me that time.
What are you doing for tonight? What's your reporting going to be tonight? What are you focusing on?
I mean, we're gonna be at that NAN forum and a little bit of that, but mainly drilling down deeper into who's making the ballot, who's not making the ballot, some of the speculation that you just heard about why the mayor is doing this. You'll hear from Scott Stringer, Whitney Tilson. You'll hear probably from Governor Cuomo on that NAN stage at least a little bit, and then my colleague, or our colleague, Anthony DiLorenzo, will be having a more thorough follow-up on that big NAN forum we talked about on the PIX 11 News at 10 o'clock.
Okay, Henry, I know you're very busy out there, so go back to what you're doing. Great to have you here on PIX and Politics Daily. And you did great there. I know it's very busy. Where are you, in the hallway?
No, we're the Bull. The Bull is right.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. All right. Thanks, Henry. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Here's the thing, everybody. You know what? I was supposed to do it at the top, and I didn't do it, but you know what? We can do it now. I want to just take a moment to listen to the words of Eric Adams and some of the 6-minute video that he put out this morning.
Today, although I am still a Democrat, I am announcing that I will forego the Democratic primary for mayor and appeal directly to all New Yorkers as an independent candidate in the general election.
All right, so there was Eric Adams in his own words, right? Basically saying, look, I had the signatures, I needed a longer runway, the case kind of held me up, so on and so forth. The questions for him moving forward now are how he's going to answer some people like Adrian Adams, who already put out a statement saying, look, he's aligning himself with Donald Trump, as are some other officials right now putting out statements saying that's what it looks like as an independent run. So stay tuned. It is a few months away from primary day and a very long way away now from the general election, which is shaping up to be very, very interesting. We'll stay on top of it all with our Henry Rosoff, of course, and myself and our PIX and Politics team. But that's going to do it for PIX and Politics Daily on a very busy Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.